go ahead and call this meeting to order. Reverend Edwards is going to give us the invocation. We'll remain standing for the pledge of allegiance.
Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for life, health, and strength. And as we know, we do the business of Greenwood City. Bless everyone that attended. Bless the city council, city manager, and all city staff members. We give you glory and praise for this day. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, Chapter 4, Title 30, Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, an agenda has been posted on the front door of City Hall, and notification of this meeting has been given to the news media. Confirm we have a quorum.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
All right, first up, we've got approval of consent agenda. Anybody has reviewed those? We'll entertain a motion. A motion by Mr. Bass, second by Reverend Edwards. Any further discussion regarding the consent agenda? All right. All in favor of approval of the consent agenda? Mr. Miller?
Approved.
All right, that motion carries by a vote of 5-0.
Our first item this evening is public hearing number 1, which is to consider ordinance number 25-020, which amends the city's zoning map by rezoning approximately 1.13 acres of land located at 1010 Coleman Drive from R10 high-density residential to general commercial.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. So this is a property on Coleman Drive, as she stated. It backs up to our place, so you can kind of acclimate yourself where you're seeing it. It backs up to commercial. It is adjacent to commercial. They don't wish to build apartments because that's what the current zoning would allow for. So they wanted to take it to commercial to develop it that way. If you have any specific questions, I can address them. Planning Commission supported it and staff recommended approval. Future land use shows it as commercial.
Thank you. Any further questions for Carol? All right. We may have some more for
Okay.
us, but as this is a public hearing, is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance number 25-020? Let the record reflect there are none. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition to ordinance number 25-020? Let the record reflect there are none. All right, I think this is second reading, so we've been well versed on this. Entertaining motions.
Motion to approve ordinance number 25-020.
Motion by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Abels. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of ordinance number 25-020? Mr. Miller?
Approved.
The motion carries unanimously. 5 votes.
Our next item is to consider ordinance number 25-022, which amends the business license ordinance for the city of Greenwood. Recall that we are required by state law to update our business license ordinance every 2 years. This is in accordance with Act 176. So we've been over this a couple times. There are multiple businesses, particularly in the salons, barbers, that are going down a rate, meaning that if their revenues were to stay exactly the same, their business license will be cheaper. And this is these rates are calculated via IRS numbers given to us every 2 years.
Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance number 25-022? Let the record reflect there are none. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition to ordinance number 25-022? Let the record reflect there are none. All right, we'll entertain any motion.
Motion to approve ordinance number 25-020.
A motion by Mr. Bass, second by Reverend Edwards. Any further discussion? All in favor of ordinance number 25-022, amending the business license ordinance of the city of Greenwood to update the class schedule as required by Act 176 of 2020. And I read the whole thing just to give Robert an idea of what we're voting on. All in favor? Mr. Miller?
Approved.
The motion carries unanimously, 6 votes.
Yeah, I think so. We heard you, so we were waiting on the next item.
Oh, really? Okay.
Everyone says they always can hear me coming too, so.
All right, what do we have?
Public hearing number 3 is to consider ordinance number 25-023, which authorizes the city manager to issue CPW revenue bond anticipation notes in 2026, is what, we corrected that 3 times, but we keep copying and pasting the wrong language there, but it's in 2026. So we do pass this ordinance every year, which allows CPW to float bonds if they need to purchase natural gas. They have advised that they do not have any intent to borrow money in 2026.
This is the same thing we're asked to do. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance number 25-023? Let the record reflect there are none. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition to ordinance number 25-023? Let the record reflect there are none. All right, we'll entertain any motions.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 25-023.
I have a motion by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Abels. Any further discussion?
Appreciate them getting our power back on after 30 minutes. After my family absolutely lost their minds because our power was off 30 minutes last night.
I was one of the lucky ones that didn't experience it. All right, all in favor of ordinance number 25-023? Mr. Miller?
Approved.
That motion carries unanimously with 7 votes.
Public hearing number 4 is to consider ordinance number 25-024, which is the levy tax and adopt the budgets for the city for 2026. The budget is balanced at $23,142.75. There's no tax increase included in this budget. Millage remains set at 127.9. There is a 3% cost of living adjustment in this budget. There is some merit increase as requested by some department heads. And there are 5 new positions included in this budget: a communications specialist, a maintenance personnel, a custodian, and 2 police officer positions. We have capital equipment in the budget of $515,000, and we do have the large fire truck purchase, which is a little over $1 million. That truck should come sometime towards the end of 2026. That gives us an overall deficit of $1.188 million. Obviously, you can see the largest bulk of that is that large fire truck purchase, which is a rare purchase. We don't purchase fire trucks that often. So without that fire engine, your deficit is $115,000, which is a pretty good margin on a $23 million budget. Staff is recommending that you balance the budget with our capital fund. And I'll answer any of the questions that you might have.
Just for clarity, the budget $23 million, not $23,000, correct?
Did I say 23,000?
Possibly.
Oh, I apologize.
All right, we'll make sure we're there.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking.
All right, is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance number 25-024? Let the record reflect there are none. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition to ordinance number 25-024?
Yes.
In opposition or in favor?
Well, I just would like to speak, so I'm not sure which category. I just would like to speak, please.
Well,
I mean, if I need to select a category, I'll say in opposition.
all right, come on up. And if you give your name and your address.
Okay. Good evening. My name's Doug Collins. I'm here representing Regency Park. We are a small business here in Greenwood. We've been here for 26 years, so we've been a part of the fabric of the community for a long time. We pay a lot in taxes. It's a matter of public record, so I don't mind saying publicly we pay almost $150,000 a year in property taxes. I noticed in the article that is in the paper that it appears that the city revenues this coming year have grown by $3 million, if I'm reading this correctly. And again, I'm going off the public notice that was in the Index Journal yesterday. So that looks like that's right at a 15% increase in revenue for the city, which, congratulations, I think that's a wonderful thing. I think we all want to see growth. We're very grateful for the city services that we receive, the police, the fire department. We're very grateful for all of that, so please hear that loud and clear. We are concerned that we see an increase when the city does share resources with the county, and it would seem to me that the county is probably also seeing an increase in their revenue just based on the overall organic growth that is probably happening with the county revenue from the new businesses and new homes and so forth that are being built in the county, and with the sharing of resources back and forth. So I'm trying to get an understanding, because if memory serves me correctly, there was an increase in millage this past year by the city. I thought I read that in the paper for this past year that the city had a millage increase. And so there's a $3 million growth in revenue. There have been many years that myself and my wife, that are the owners of Regency Park, that we took zero money out of the business, and many, many years that we have paid in taxes much more than we have taken out of the business ourselves. So obviously, I'm concerned as a small business owner, and small businesses do carry a bulk of the revenue that is paid into the city for those of us that are in the city limits. As a lot of you know, we've been lobbying for years to try to get sidewalks on Center Street. We have residents that walk to an elementary school on the shoulder of the road. We've applied through the penny sales tax. We've met with the mayor. We've met with Julie. We've met with other members of the council, and we have tried and tried to see what we can do to get sidewalks over by Regency Park on Center Street. And we still have no way of getting that, no path forward that we can see. But yet, by our calculations, we've paid in over $2.5 million now in property taxes in the 26 years that we have been here in Greenwood. And granted, that went to the school system, some went to the city, and some went to the county. I understand it didn't all end up with the city. I understand that. And so I'm just trying to understand, when you have a 15% increase in revenue, because that's a wonderful thing. That's blessings for all of us that live here and participate. That is a huge blessing. But I'm also now wondering, because I have to be a good steward of the funds that come our way. And so I'm asking, is there a breakdown of this number somewhere? Can I get a breakdown of these numbers to see how this money's being spent? And I'd like to request at the Index Journal that they publish that in the paper, so that all of us as citizens are informed as to how these dollars are being allocated and how they're being spent. Okay? So that, and I did not stand up and ask to speak when you spoke to the business license, but we also pay a large amount with our business license, which is, in my way of looking at it, it's another tax. So between the business license and what we pay in property taxes, it's a big number. And for a small business that's trying to make ends meet, and all of this is a big burden for us. And so we're just looking for some relief at some point, and just would like to understand, if you get a 15% increase in budget in 1 year, how come there's not a millage decrease? Thank you.
Do you mind if I?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Mr. Collins, thank you. I'll do this after you finish closing the public hearing. Is that fine?
Sure. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition to ordinance number 25-024? Maybe let the record reflect there.
Mr. Collins, I appreciate it. I very much would love for us to be able to sit up here and tell you that our expenses were not increasing at the same level of what the natural flow of what our incomes are also increasing. The fact is, in our budget, which we extensively went over line by line by line, Sarah does a phenomenal job, Becky and Julie do a phenomenal job giving us that information. And you're exactly right, it's actually 14.8% of where that increase is. In reality, there's some money, I think it's $785,000 that's in there from CTC. Julie, you correct me after I finish, okay? There's the money that's in there from the fire engine, which is over $1 million. There is also an increase, and this is actually from general fund, of $1.02 million in the cost of living increase that's in the budget this year, which I think of as part of the increase that we have from our natural growth of our revenues, that's covering that. And so of that, actually the number is closer to 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, the increase in the budget is because the CTC dollars come from the state of South Carolina to cover the county transportation, so for us to be able to repair roads. All right, and then I think you're very aware of CTC dollars, right?
I am.
And then out of our capital fund that we move to our general fund that goes into the $23 million, just over $1 million is coming out of that. So that number had to be put into the general fund for our general budget. So actually the natural increase is closer to 5.5% versus the total 15% of what you see on paper. It took me a long time to understand governmental accounting. It really did. But there's the different funds that they have to go into, and I'll never fully understand it. That's why Sarah sits in the front row right there, right in front of us, because we always have a lot of questions for her. But the general fund, yes, it did increase about $15 million, but there are some asterisks inside of that. I'm sorry, yeah, 15%. There's asterisks that is there with some budgetary items that are not generally there, especially the CTC dollars and the money that we move from the capital dollars to cover the cost of the fire engine. I hope that makes sense to you. And I'll be happy to sit down with you and Julie or whoever to go line by line if we want to of the budget, because we've all done an extensive amount of work on this budget to make sure that, one, we did not increase millage this year, and then two, I would love for us to be able to decrease it. And in the future, as Greenwood continues to grow, I'd love to explore that option. We don't want to make government bigger. I tell people all the time, government's not your answer for your problems. And so we want to be able to squeeze every penny out of every tax dollar that we have. And I think as a council, we question every single dollar that's spent. And I promise you, between those three right there, there's not any, in my opinion, Jonathan's opinion, there's not any wasted taxpayer dollars, in my opinion. Could we stretch them further? Probably so. But I promise you we're doing our very, very best to do that. But I'll be happy to sit down with you and go line item by line item and demonstrate that with you. I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you for that. I can tell the passion and sincerity in your tone of your voice. I have met with the CTC folks, with Mr. Mays and with his committee. The road in front of Regency Park is falling apart, and we seem to get caught in this, are we in the county or are we in the city, because we're right on the line. And so we're looking for some help, please, because the road's falling apart. We have 300 people that live in our community, and we've been trying to get help with sidewalks as well. And we don't seem to ever get anywhere.
Right.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Anything you wanted to add?
No, I think that Mr. Bass explained that very well, and I think that was very astute of you to recognize that, because even when we had to post that in the paper, I said it's really a little bit misleading, because it makes it seem as though our revenues have grown almost 15%, when in reality, a big part of that, over $1 million, is that transfer in from our capital to our general fund to pay for that fire truck, which makes it look like those revenues are a lot higher than they are. But the natural sort of revenue increases for our budget were actually still closer to 6%, which is really what allows us to balance the budget without raising taxes again. And so I think that decision that council had to make last year to raise taxes is what allowed us to have a budget this year that didn't require any tax increases. And I'm familiar with the issue with the sidewalk, and we can talk about that again anytime. And I'm happy to give you a copy of the budget. We spend a tremendous amount of time on this as staff, and so I always appreciate, honestly, when people ask questions about it. So.
Thank you.
Same here, and thank you, Mr. Bass. And I believe our budget is online, right?
We don't post a draft online. Just historically, we haven't done. There's no reason why we can't or shouldn't. We just
It is public record.
we put
It's
it on
accessible.
after it's approved. We put the whole budget on there, but I mean it's a fair point. But you know, but I'll email you a copy of it if you want to look at it.
Thank you. With that being said, is there any motion?
Motion to adopt our budget through ordinance 25-025.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Mr. Bass, a second by
Excuse
Ms.
me.
Hutto.
Excuse me. Repeat that motion again, because I believe that you said 25-025.
Oh, good, thank you. 024.
You're exactly right, Tiffany, thank you. Motion to approve ordinance number 25-024, levy tax and adopt a budget for the city of Greenwood, 2026.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bass, second by Ms. Hutto. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of ordinance number 25-024? Mr. Miller?
Agreed.
All right, that motion carries unanimously, 7 votes.
Here we have, I believe, one more public hearing this evening,
Okay.
which is to consider ordinance number 25-025, which amends our city code by, chapter 28, by adding section 28-42, criminal conduct because of prejudice, punishable as an infraction by civil fine.
All right, is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance number 25-025? Let the record reflect there are none. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition to ordinance number 25-025? Let the record reflect there are none. All right, we'll entertain any motion for this one. As we know, this has been heavily covered.
I make a motion that ordinance number 25-025, amending City Code of Laws, Chapter 20, by adding Section 28-42, criminal conduct because of prejudice, punishment as an infraction by civil fine.
We have a motion by Reverend Edwards, second by Mr. Dean. Any further discussion? All in favor of ordinance number 25-025? Mr. Miller?
Agreed.
All opposed? All right, that motion carries by a vote of 6-1.
We have a lot of new business items tonight. So first is going to be considered partial funding for a new roof for the federal building. Ms. Toto is going to read keys from this discussion. So a little bit of background on this. The 2016 capital project sales tax includes $686,000 for renovations to the federal building. This year, that project was bid and awarded, and it included replacement of the slate roof, window glaze, reglazing, cupola restoration, brick repointing, and all that work is currently in progress. If you've been over by the federal building, you've seen the activity of work going on over there. At the time that this project was bid out, the replacement of the other portion of the roof was also included. But as the bids came in, we didn't have enough money. It was a little over $400,000 to replace that portion of the roof, and the funding through CPST would not cover it. So at that time, we all met as a staff, because as you know, the city and the county, I should have led, the city and the county own this building jointly. It was decommissioned by the federal government and given to the city and the county, I believe in I don't remember exactly what year, but early 2000s. So the city and the county own this building, and the Art Center leases it through an agreement with the city and in the county. So at the time we met, the county managers, myself, and the Art Center staff met, and we encouraged Sylvia and the staff to go try to find a grant. There's a lot of grants out there for restoring and repairing historic buildings. So we said, hey, go see if you can find a grant. To Sylvia's credit, she did. She got a grant approved through the Department of Archives and History. It's a $200,000 maximum grant, which leaves approximately $385,000 to $410,000 that has to be covered to get this roof replaced. I've met with the county manager, and what we discussed was approaching both councils about agreeing to split the difference on the replacement of this roof. So tonight, what we're asking is that if you would consider funding this roof replacement in an amount not to exceed $105,000 from hospitality tax. The reason I say not to exceed amount is there's still a couple of things we have to work through with Department of Archives and History about whether or not we may have to rebid this portion of the project. Since it's been a little while, they may require us to rebid it. We're hoping that they don't. So there's a couple of little caveats there. And so that's why the request is in an amount not to exceed. I'll answer any questions you may have.
This is just one vote, we don't need.
It's just a consideration of funding. At a later date, we'll have to come back to you with a budget amendment, but this would solidify that you guys are approving the funding, and then at a later date, we'll come back with the necessary budget amendment.
I think that, I'm fine with this, but I will say that I think we need to go ahead and look at the other projects that have existed from the 2016, 2024 capital project sales tax. This keeps coming up.
With the shortage of funding?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we need to look at the entire picture of all of the projects that are there, figure all this stuff out, because these can't just keep coming to us.
I did note too that they also applied for money in the 2024 capital project sales tax and were awarded for funding to $681,000 to do new flooring, new HVAC, lighting, and plumbing improvements. So I do think the Art Center's done a good job of trying to apply for that funding so that they don't have to come to the city and the county and ask for the money to do these huge projects in the building. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Bass. And I do know that with the 2024 CPST, there was a lot of emphasis placed on inflation and how to factor that into the funding request for each entity that received funding in 2024.
I just feel like it'd be wise if we go ahead and get this on a spreadsheet and say, here are the things, here where, like, the Art Center, we have responsibility there. And the county does as well. It's very important to us, but I think generally, I think we need to go ahead and identify these potential shortfalls and go ahead and make a plan for those moving forward for all the projects that we're associated with through partnerships. So I think we need to plan ahead rather than, because we've had this issue before where urgency gets placed in front of us, so we feel like we need to act on something without completely going through everything. This will require a second reading. We can ask a lot of questions, but I think that we need to be able to go through these things. Again, this one in particular is a no-brainer for me. But I just off the top of my head, I can't think of many other projects that this would come about, but we have, we'll be discussing here in a little bit about the community theater. They're asking for a loan with interest, and I understand all of that, but I don't want us to, as I said a little while ago, Mr. Collins, we're not the means to solve others' problems. This is our problem also. And so I think we need to just go and identify these things. I think that would be a very wise thing for us to do.
Yeah, I do think that's a timely discussion, and that's That's a good point. I think we, as you mentioned, with the 2016 capital project sales tax, inflation hit considerably, and virtually none of the costs from 2016 have been applicable, at least since 2019, maybe. But I agree with you that this is one of our properties. This is one that and again, we own jointly with the county, so at least there's, we share the responsibility there. Having said that, if there is a way, I agree with Mr. Bass, if there's a way to understand what else we may be looking at in the months to come with stuff, I think that's a great idea.
How many projects are out there, I've got really good questions. How many projects are behind that was prior before this issue, this arts building roof? You know how many projects are already out there still waiting?
You mean from the 2026?
Yeah.
I do not know right off the top of my head, so I wouldn't want to speak out of line, but the projects are funded in order as long as the recipient is ready to tackle that project. So I'll give you an example, like, for Gray Street Park, that money was sitting there a long time, but the process to get the park constructed took longer than we had anticipated. So the money's collected in order of the project list, and so they don't jump ahead, if that makes sense. There are still projects, I want to say maybe at the state of the city county, the county manager said maybe there were 7 left on the 16 list, but don't quote me on that, because I don't manage that day to day like he does.
This project with the federal building was number 23 on that project list.
And
Okay,
I believe there are 27.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
There
27.
were 20, I think there were 27 in both 2016 and 2024.
so could we not possible look at all 27 of these projects before we give approval of to move forward with the federal? Because I first want to know how crucial or how essential is it for to start moving forward with the roof? Is it advanced?
So all of the projects on the list are not funded by the city. They may impact the city, but they don't necessarily require funding from the city. This one is very specific to us because we are co-owners of the building. My opinion, based on what I know about this project, is that we're never going to get this roof replaced any cheaper than $105,000 for the city, $105,000 for the county, and a grant from Department of Archives and History.
Yeah, and I applaud
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
the
That was a
Arts
lot.
Center staff,
Thank you.
Sylvia, for seeking those money. We had 4 city projects in 2016 and 4 in 2024.
I'll just have to pull it
Well,
up.
I don't know that it's important, but I think the point is, out of 27 projects, each time we've had 4 or 5. There's some town of Ware Shoals, some in town of Troy, 96, Hodges, county projects. There was the museum, railroad project, CPW, Metro. So I think mostly governmental subdivisions, and the city of Greenwood probably had the most of any municipality in Greenwood County. Of course, we're by far the largest municipality also, so it makes sense. But
So 23 was the Art Center, 24, project for 23 was the Art Center, 24 was the Railroad Center, 25 was the purchase of the platform truck, which we're very aware of. 26 was water line replacement, Harris Landing, and then 27 was some rural water services, fire suppression for Highway 25 South. So that kind of finishes off the list, so they're getting to the point where that at least they're getting down to the spot for that.
You don't have to look no further, Julie.
I'm almost there.
are you looking at the 2024 now?
I'm pulling up the 2024 list now. So there are 27 projects on that list. And of those,
Fire Station number 1, Powell's Building, Public Works,
Fire Station 1, House Building, West Cambridge Park, Public Works Facility, Grace Street Park, the Arts Center. I didn't know I could read this fast. That's it. I mean, those are the ones that impact directly.
Thank you.
I think it was, like the mayor said, the COVID inflation was so drastic that a lot of these projects are just way out of bounds on budget from what was projected versus what you can do in reality.
So how will we correct what Mr. Bass said earlier about every time you turn around, when somebody's popping up, I want us to give the relief for what they're going through?
I don't know how you combat it necessarily. I think this one is a little bit different because we own the building. I just think it has to be a vetting process of this body to determine is it a good use of dollars.
What about guidelines? What are the guidelines or requirement that they must meet? Is there anything in place for that?
Respectfully, I think that's kind of a broad question because guidelines could mean so many different things. So I don't want to answer that question incorrectly. We don't have a process in place where we just let people come ask for money. Each request is a little bit different. So I think you just have to vet them individually. That's my best answer to that.
I'll tell you my opinion. I think all the ones that, well, really it's just two, right? Art Center and Community Theater. Community Theater's not asking us for us to give them money. They're asking us for a loan that we obviously vetted a lot, right? We've asked a lot of questions about that. I don't think anybody's come to us and asked for money or requested money from us that has not been associated through a crystal clear partnership with the city. And those are the only two that I'm aware of. I just know there's other projects that are out there, and I don't think, even if you go through the list of 27 that are upcoming and the ones that from the past, I don't see there being any other ones, but I as I said with community theater, if we do it for one, we gotta expect that others are gonna also ask the same thing, right? And so when you set the precedent and you pick and choose who you're gonna be doing stuff for, then I think that's a very poor function of this body if we were to do that, right?
And that's why I made a
So-
statement about guidelines.
And so I think as a body, we ought to explore if this is something that we want to continue, and if so, what parameters we want to put in place, if there's a strategy screen that we need to put in of saying, if just like what Tripp did for us for a screen for us to be able to determine if this is something we want to tackle. That's stuff that we have to work on.
Right.
So that could be something that we could work on in a work session, maybe. It's gonna be a great idea.
Okay. That concludes my area of questions.
I'll have to recall, do we have a motion yet on that one?
Yeah.
Could you make the motion off the agenda then, not off of that language up there, please?
Motion to approve, resolution 25-01, due for the federal building not exceeding $105,000.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Dean, second by Mr. Bass.
Just want to clarify, this is a resolution.
Correct, yes.
That's right. Any further discussion regarding resolution number 25-010?
I do, if I could make one clarification, because you asked me one question that I didn't answer, and so to answer your question, yes, the roof's in bad shape, it's causing a lot of leaks in the building.
Okay, thank you.
And I did include some photos in your packet of some of those trouble areas.
All right, all in favor of resolution number 25-010? Mr. Miller?
Approved.
That motion carries unanimously with 6 votes. got an investment update from Wealth Enhancement next. I see Chip up there. Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Nice to see everybody.
So y'all understand we got a new name?
We do have a new, actually, we had the name December of last year, but yes, sir, it's been
Okay.
15 months, 14 months?
Okay,
Yes,
fine.
yes, sir, it's all right. Wealth Enhancement Group purchased us from United Community Bank October 1st of last year. So yeah, it's been almost 15 months. I'm Chip Hardy. I'm the relationship manager for y'all's investment account, and with me is Alan Gillespie, my colleague, who's also one of our investment managers, if you will. I was hoping we have the presentation.
I have your slides. I'm
Okay,
sorry,
thank you.
I'm organizing myself.
Okay, no
Look, we're ready.
All right, thank you. Well, super. So we want to just kind of give you an annual update on the investment accounts as we go through it. Whew, okay, you're going to test me there, Sarah. We have 3 accounts for the
That's
city.
your font size, Chip. I just
Oh.
dropped it in there.
Okay. Okay. We
Want
have,
this?
no, that's fine. I can handle it. We have three accounts for you all. Just as a reminder, 2 of them are restricted. The top one, known as the CapEx account, and then the bottom one, known as the hospitality tax account. So those are specific for those needs. Then the middle one is the general fund. The 3 values as of November 30th are over there on the right-hand side, totaling $15 million or so. Right, and this is how the total pool between all 3 accounts breaks down. Cash and cash equivalents, which is things that are maturing less than 12 months, if you will. CDs, we have some CDs, we have some U.S. government agencies, and the government treasuries. Just as a reminder to council, you all are restricted on what we're allowed to invest in based on the South Carolina Code because of being a municipality. So we do have one arm tied behind our back, so to speak. You're not going to see the Magnificent Seven in here or anything like that. It's all going to be fixed income, like mature and short-term maturities. So the further we go into the report, the more it breaks down the details, if you will. The top section there is the cash, and then you'll see F cash and something, 2 different money market mutual funds. Fidelity, who's y'all's custodian, has some restrictions on minimum balances to go into the one that pays more interest, which is the bottom one there, FIGXX, or FIG as we call it, FIGXX. That takes $1 million minimum to open, and then supposedly $1 million average balance. So we try to get in that account as much as we can. It pays about 20 basis points more than the Fidelity cash reserves, the FDRXX, both ticketed money market funds. So those are just kind of really holding accounts when we get a maturity until Sarah and I can get our calendars together and talk. In fact, we had a maturity last week, and we got another one coming due, I believe, this week. So she and I will be talking soon, hopefully, to get those monies put back to work. But in the meantime, we park them in those money market accounts to earn you all more daily interest. The next section just identifies more of the accounts, the taxable fixed income account. Obviously, you all don't pay taxes, but that's what they're classified as there. And then the total portfolio there on the blue box there on the right-hand side for the fiscal year today, so this since July 1, is about 157. And as we go further in, you'll see more details, and it actually is a lot higher than that. It has been higher than that over an annualized basis. We just haven't had too many things mature since July 1st. The box to look at here is the 3rd section down, annualized. So the top section is 2026, that's fiscal year again. 25 is a full year, and then you see the asterisk on the 24, that's also a partial year. That's what the asterisk stands for, is a partial year. So if we go off the full year in 2025 on the income, interest, and dividends on the far right side, next to the last side, you'll see 684,000?
684.
Okay, so it's like an eye chart. I feel like I just got my contacts renewed too. Test me. So so that's what you all earned in the last fiscal year, full fiscal year, if you will. And then the next one's down just shows the income streams. We wanted to address this briefly. Again, some of the certificates of deposits, we have to spread those around to different banks because of FDIC limits. So we spread those around to banks around the country, southeastern country, that we have access to through Fidelity. And you'll see some of the maturity schedules there. We did want to point out there's some that people might wonder why we have maturities going out into the 2030s, if you will, those are some of the SBA bonds that I want to show you in just a second, that have ultimately long maturities, but we all are planning to hold them maybe 2 to 3 years, and they're quarterly revalued. They're still liquid. We can get them out whenever we want as people repay their SBA loans. These are pools of SBA loans, but as you'll see on the next page, they're worth the wait. Or maybe the next page after. I'm sorry, this is government. Oh, I'm sorry, that was it. Sorry, Julie, that was it. So that big section there is government agencies, and you'll see that's 6 or 7 or 8 different SBA loans that we've bought in the different accounts. And the column I'd like to draw your most attention to is the next to the right column, yield to maturity. You'll see all of those paying very well in the we'll blend it out about 6.9% there at the bottom block that shows the average of those. Again, when I meet with Sarah and we talk about these are kind of your longer term funds that can sit out there for 2 or 3 years. So the base of each account, obviously not because she knows what she's going to have coming up, as in the fire truck that we heard about earlier. So we know not to lock any of those funds up too long, but this is kind of more of a base thing because we can get paid for the wait by doing SBA pools. And you all get interest and principal paid back to you on a monthly basis on those. This just lists other securities and their maturities and their yields and things like that, other government treasuries that we buy as well, and other agencies. And this just shows your overall projected income. So we got quite a few things that are going to be maturing in the first quarter of fiscal 26, which is going on right now, or just happened right now. We're in the second quarter of fiscal 26 there as well. So, and then below that, it shows you the income that's coming off those. And I believe the next page will show the total expected income. That's all the accounts again, breaking them down by income by quarter. And so one more, Julie, and it should show the total income there by quarter. Next to the far right or right-hand side, I'm sorry, I'll just do the blue line on the very bottom right corner, Julie. Total income.
598,946.
Yeah.
The very last number.
Very last number is total.
5,982,192.
And that includes some principal redemptions. That's not all. I'd love to say we did that with all interest on a $15 million account, but sorry. That is not all. Interest is part of that. Some of the maturities of principal are in that, obviously, as well. That just shows you the quarterly breakdown for the income expected off the account. And we'll reinvest as you all, if you need the money, we'll move it to the general account. It goes out. You all also have a mirrored accounts for each of these at LGIP for more daily liquidity. Our stuff is more for longer term investments. Miss anything material? Did I miss anything material? I think that's the last page, if I'm not mistaken.
Just this one with a lot of, read that to us if you could.
Yeah. My contacts aren't that strong. That's your disclosure.
I would say they were talking about inflation earlier, but that's the other thing about SBAs because they float.
Okay, so Alan's just reminded me that the SBAs, which is, again, about half the total portfolio, they do float. They are variable rate keyed off of prime. And so as prime comes down a little bit with rate productions, those will come down, but they're all still relatively higher paying than treasuries or agencies or CDs. So that's why we put some of your longer term dollars in those. But again, they're always liquid at the end of the day, end of the quarter, whatever. We can still get that money out if we need to. So nothing is locked up long term. Happy to answer any questions.
If you could just elaborate, you touched on a little bit about our exposure to interest rates. If you could just talk about it just a little bit, because I think that when we were initially discussing, because there's a fund that we can use here at the state level that would give us a little bit of gains. Have we looked at those to kind of compare the two between state gains we could have, and then our realized gains? And then the other question I have, I'll let you, they're not really associated, but I also didn't notice any realized gains, losses on the entire portfolio. You guys
That's correct.
kind of agree with that?
Yes, sir. So I'll address the last question first. In a fixed income bond portfolio, as long as you hold to maturity, which is generally the impression or plan to do every time we buy one. That's why I sit down with Sarah each month when we go through as we have maturities, we talk. If you hold to maturity, you will never lose money on the fixed income bonds or whatever.
I just think sometimes it's okay to say that publicly, right? When you're talking about that.
Yeah, that's right. Fixed income accounts should not lose money. Now, there will be variations within the lifespan of the bond or the agency. Could look like it's negative at the time, but as long as you hold to maturity, which again is your all's intention, you'll always get the coupon rate of interest when you purchased it. As far as interest rate susceptibility, if you will, as rates come down, some of the higher paying bonds that we bought over the last couple of years, those rates will also come down. All relative to that, based on whether it's shorter. The yield curve right now is pretty flat. Every time we talk, we look at the current yield curve for 3, 6, 9, 12, 24, 36 months, et cetera. And it's pretty flat right now in the next couple of years. As they did last week when they lowered interest rate, they're trying to make it more of a normalized yield curve that goes up as you go out further, because they can control the short end, they can't control the long end. So we're working towards that. But then again, some of the SBA ones are worth the wait because they're getting a higher coupon, if you will. Compared into the government pool you're referring to, it's called Local Government Investment Pool, or LGIP, run by the state treasurer. It's about $18 billion, and you should be able to do better. It has to, by mandate, that pool has to be an average of less than 90 days duration. I believe your all's is 4 years and 4.1 years average duration, as I saw earlier. But LGIP is allowed to invest in things that you're not allowed to invest in, like longer term things and more risky things down the credit stack, the quality stack. So you all have a little hamper to that. LGIP does pay more than the short term interest rate money market funds, but longer term we should be able to beat LGIP because we can go out further on the yield curve, if you will.
We hold some money in LGIP too. Sarah was looking up what their rate is right now, and she can tell you how much money is held there.
And that's where we can move back and forth really very easy, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Yep. We have pretty much a parallel account of each of our three in LGIP.
Yeah, we haven't been able to get the November statements yet. Just so as of October, it was 2.9. Excuse me, I reversed that. 4.29% is what LGIP was at that point in time.
Right. And LGIP, because I mentioned it has to be at least no more than 90 days average duration, it runs about 57, 58, 59 days. So again, shorter term, it will come down. It will be a little bit more volatile as interest rates come down. Since you all have some longer term maturities, you won't come down as quickly.
Where is the LGIP on here?
It's not.
No, sir.
Yeah.
It's separate.
We manage that.
It's through the South Carolina Treasurer's Office, and Sarah manages that through that organization.
So when she has excess money longer term from there, she'll move it to ours. Needs some money shorter term from ours, she'll move it to theirs, because it's daily liquid as well, but it's paying a little bit better shorter term.
Yeah. But with the Fed cut, you'd expect it to come down about 60 days from now.
Right. So LGIP will come down because the rate cuts more quickly than your all's will, because you're locked into longer terms.
Yeah, so like for November, it dropped to 4.189%. So like 1/10 of a percent.
It'll go down again.
Yeah, it'll go down again.
And it'll keep dropping. And we have about 5 to 6 million in there. The closer we get to the end of the year, of course, the less funds that'll be there due to, using those funds up before we get our tax money in, December, January timeframe.
I remember when I first got on council, our interest revenue was less than $100,000 a year. And this year, conservatively, Sarah budgeted, I believe, right around $300,000.
That's just for general fund.
And that's just general fund, right? And but now we have our money working for us, which I think is great. So thank you guys a lot.
Thank you. We enjoy the relationship as well.
Yeah, across the three accounts, it's running probably 700.
The income?
Yeah.
Across the three accounts, it's probably going to be around 700 this fiscal year.
How does that compare to last year?
About the same.
Similar. Again, I can't read the chart.
It was 680 and change last year.
680, okay, 680 and change last year, so, yeah.
All right, any questions for the wealth enhancement team? Thank you. Remind me where y'all are coming from?
Greenville and Camden. Yes, sir.
Well, we appreciate the update.
No, thank you. We appreciate the relationship and enjoy working with Sarah and Julie.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all.
Sirs.
Terminate if you have to, but it's not gonna hurt. Alright.
All right, what do we have up next?
Under new business, item number 3, I am proud to recognize the City of Greenwood's corporate culture team. This is a new endeavor for our staff, and I think they've been extremely enthusiastic about the role they're playing on behalf of our staff. And so they have a presentation that they want to give to you this evening. I'll click for you, 'cause I don't know myself.
Okay, thanks.
Y'all look ready to.
We are ready.
Yes.
And this is just a
I
small,
wanna, like, stand there.
do y'all want to stand over there?
So you kind of like stand.
That way y'all are like, I feel like I have my back to y'all. Lisa, you can come up too. Come on, you're our leader. So thank y'all so much for this opportunity. As a lot of y'all know, for about 12 years of my first, I would say big girl job, I worked for County Bank, and I was a part of their corporate culture and communications team. And so that is a big piece of the experience that I brought to the HR department was corporate culture. And one of the things that I noticed even when I came to work here in 2016 was we didn't really have a mission statement. Our police department did and our fire department did, but we didn't have one. We didn't have core values and all those things. So once we got our footing underneath us with the HR department, that's something I wanted to tackle. And so Julie was gracious enough to let me do that. I met with Lisa Bartanis, who some of you may know. Lisa worked at Piedmont Tech, and then she went to the hospital for a while, and now she's back at Piedmont Tech. But she played a very big role in the work that I did with County Bank, and so I knew if I wanted somebody to come in and help us facilitate that, I wanted it to be Lisa. And so she and I worked together and put together the bulk of what we did. But then these guys, along with some others that you'll see in some pictures, really did all the work. So we're excited to present to you guys today. So if you want to click through. So who cares about culture? Well, we do, number one, but also the Gallup organization tells us that if you have culture right, you're going to attract more candidates, you're going to retain the people that you have, you're going to increase engagement, you're going to improve the well-being of our employees, we're going to have better diversity and equity and inclusion, and we're going to give the best customer service experience that we can. So why? Why did we want to do this? And I just gave you a little bit of that background. Our group of corporate culture team is what we called ourselves. We came together to develop the framework and the expectations that we want to have for the City of Greenwood's corporate culture going forward. These are just a couple of snapshots of some of the work that we did. You can see there's a lot of folks in that room. We had, I think, 16 people on our team. We only have a few of them here today, but we worked really hard for 4 months. We had one meeting every month, and we started that in September, and we just had our last one last week, and this group worked together to come up with what we're going to present to you today. This is the big team on the left, and then this was us on Thursday of last week when we finalized everything. As you guys know, it's very, very competitive in the job market. And the days of somebody coming to work for us because we were the government and they could work for 28 years and leave and be great are gone. Those days don't happen anymore. We're lucky that we have a lot of experience and a lot of folks that stay with us, but if we keep somebody from 3 to 5 years now, we're calling that a win. So we have to find other ways to be competitive and recruit. And so culture is something that the generations that we're hiring now, they look for what is a good corporate culture. How can I fit in? How can I benefit from them? But also, how can I give back? And so that's some of the things that we talked about when we talked about recruiting and hiring new staff. So what we were going to do, we had a goal of 3 things. The first one was to create a purpose statement. We didn't call it a mission statement because this is not an outward focused mission and values. This is internal for our employees to use and for us to use as HR. So we created a purpose statement, we created core values, and then we took those core values and we created attributes that we wanted to see in the staff members that work for us. So Lane, do you want to come up and share a little bit about the core values that I'm going to let him talk a little bit. Got it? I'm just going to give y'all one of these. This is the rough draft of some of the graphics that we're going to be using. Go ahead, you don't have to wait on that.
So we discussed some of the core values that we want to look for in our teammates that will be coming on in the future. We wanted to try and keep it pretty short and concise. We didn't want more than 5 or 6 things, the things that can get bogged down. Things that we kind of all across the departments felt were very important to us were the 5 that you see up here right now. We had teamwork, respect, accountability, communication, and excellence. There's a lot of back and forth that we had, a couple of different things that we tried, and this is what we essentially boiled it down to at the end of the day.
So I'm not going to read all of this, but you guys have this in the handout that I gave you, and this is just a quick graphic of what we're going to try and create. We use the acronym TRACE, and so we want to see a trace of all of our values in everything that we do every day in the city of Greenwood. We joked about how, at Chick-fil-A, when you go through there, they're going to tell you it was their pleasure. And we want these to become ingrained in our staff just like that. Lane has a background in managing at Bojangles, and he said he used to tell people, have a botastic day. So we're like, we want to get that cheesy with these. So you can see we're using the trace, like you trace your hand as our graphic. We're going to create posters, and we actually, when I worked for County Bank, we created this little pocket guide. And if you guys ever have been to a Ritz-Carlton, any employee at a Ritz-Carlton has a pocket guide, and they pull it out and they can go through their core values with anybody that's at the Ritz-Carlton, if you didn't know that. So we created these when I worked at the bank, and I still have it because these are important and they stuck with me. And if you guys know County Bank, their staff follows this culture, and it is very important to them still to this day. And I'm pretty proud that I was a part of that. And so I hope when I leave here, this will follow and keep us going through our employees as well. So you have that in front of you. The last thing that we talked about was how we establish and maintain. Are you talking about me?
I said, where you going?
No, I mean like forward in the future when I'm gone in, 30 years. 10. They all have like 3-year countdowns. I have 10. But we talked about,
JJ, she said you're going to stop working.
Oh, don't tell him. He's be like, she already quit. But we wanted to talk about what are the responsibilities, not only of our staff, but also our leaders. And so some of the things that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we are incorporating these into everything that we do, into how we're hiring, how we're interviewing. We're going to put it into when we're evaluating our employees, when we're doing our annual performance evaluations, we're going to put this stuff in there. They're going to be graded on these things. We're going to hold employees accountable. So when we're coaching them, we're going to use these models to coach them when there's an infraction of some discipline issue. And we're also going to recognize and celebrate when they're doing exceptional. When they're showing these attributes, we're going to celebrate them and congratulate them. And we don't know exactly how yet. That's what next year's about. But then we also have the same things for the staff. And so anything that we were asking the leadership to do, there's a correlation for the staff and what we expect from them. Is that my last slide? No, one more. So this is our action plan for next year. First is we're doing the first step right here. We're sharing this with our city council, and we shared this with Becca and Julie now. This is the first time they've seen it. They were not allowed to come to any of our meetings. We kept them out, so they didn't see it. We actually didn't have any department heads to begin with, but then we had some department heads who wanted to be a part of it. So Mike was there, Gibson, Kelly, Corona. He volunteered. So there was another employee that TJ had said, I'll have Courtney come, and Corona said, no, I want to be a part of that. And so I thought that was pretty special that he wanted to be a part of it. So thank you for that. So we did that first tonight. We rolled it out to you guys. The next, we're going to integrate those core values into those things that we just talked about. Into our website, recruiting tools, all of our performance evaluations, graphics. You're going to see this everywhere. And then the next thing we'll be working on is creating opportunities for education and understanding these values. And so we'll be working with Lisa to expand our training next year to include trainings that focus on these values. And we already know we have some things lined up like communication, exceptional customer service, those types of things. And so we'll be pushing that stuff out in the first quarter of next year. Any questions? Oh, yes, Tiffany is here. Why don't you stand up?
I'm writing now.
Oh, she's doing it. We had a very, very good group, and if I've missed something, y'all tell me, because I think I shared everything we talked about. But it was. Oh, we didn't read the purpose statement out? Sorry, that was my fault. I jumped ahead. So this is the purpose statement, and I will tell you, it was about 14 paragraphs long when we started. And we wordsmithed it to get it exactly like we wanted it. I missed one of the sessions when I came back. I was like, whoa, it's totally different. But this is our purpose statement. City of Greenwood employees will support one another and collaborate in a structured environment while encouraging professional growth. Again, it's an internal purpose statement for our staff, and we're going to use it with each other. And then eventually, hopefully one day we'll get to where we have an more external branding message, but we're going to start here internally and then push it out. Lisa, do you want to add anything?
I do.
Please
This group was such a pleasure to work with. I want to thank you for that opportunity. And I also want to mention that in between our work sessions, the corporate culture team had the opportunity to go back to their specific departments and share the progress that had been done and get feedback from their coworkers. And they took that very seriously. They came back. We had very robust discussion and debate as the core values and the purpose statement and the team member attributes were evolving over that 4-month time. So fantastic engagement on the part of this team and their coworkers as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I certainly appreciate it. Is there anything else anybody, the other team members want to share with us?
She covered a lot of it. I'm just excited to see where it's going to lead in the future, especially when it comes to recruitment and retention. Just keeping our employees happy and engaged, that's our #1 priority, right?
Sure. Well, I can tell you if our management staff didn't know what to expect, we certainly didn't. But learned a lot. I think this is a great start. I look forward to y'all continuing to develop this into the external purpose statement as well, but I think this is fantastic, and thank you, Lisa, for your help with that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Got a good squad. Tell the rest of the folks that couldn't make it, we appreciate them being a part of it too. Yeah.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
I do think after every meeting, I would ask how it went, and I think this group was really engaged, honestly. And I know Tiffany would bring it back to our admin staff and say, here's what we talked about today, and what feedback you all have. So I did get to be engaged just a smidge, but they did intentionally keep us out of the room. And that's okay with me, because I get invited to a lot of meetings. But I really appreciate the engagement from the staff that was part of the culture team, and then also the ones that weren't. And I think excitement is contagious, and so I appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
All right. New business, item number 4 is ordinance number 26-001, which amends our zoning ordinance by amending table 3.1. It's our zoning district use chart, additional permitted uses in general commercial, additional conditional uses in general commercial regarding tattoo parlors, body piercing, and ABC package stores. I'm going to just give a brief synopsis on this one. Their body piercing currently in the city in general commercial and
Tattoo parlors
are required to be 1,000 feet away from child care centers, adult care centers, primary and secondary schools, churches, temples, synagogues, or other tattoo parlors or body piercing facilities. It was brought to our attention that this did not apply to ABC package stores, so we asked Planning Commission to take a look at it, and the recommendations that you are considering tonight is what came out of the Planning Commission. So the recommendation is essentially to add ABC package stores to this same 1,000-foot radius. The city attorney has recommended that we update the way the radius is defined, which is what you see underlined here. I don't know if I answered that. I tried to keep that really concise. So essentially what you're doing tonight is you're establishing a distance radius of 1,000 feet for ABC stores from schools, daycares, churches, temples, and synagogues. And this will be a conditional use in the general commercial zoning district, in addition to body piercing and tattoo parlors.
And let me make sure I understand. I guess I'm just not clear. how that radius is defined?
It's a,
From the center of the building
Center
The
of,
measurement of the 1,000-foot radius we made from the center of the building footprint where the use is intended to go.
And it's a complete circle.
Which is why Tripp recommended that we update the definition, because prior to that, it was a little bit vague on how you calculate the 1,000 feet.
yeah, as long as it's consistent, I think we're good with it, as long as we know what that is.
Sure, and in the past, we've had this come up, and the state regulates this too. And so, you know, there's always this back and forth, well, the state measures it from the corner of the parcel to the corner of the next parcel, or maybe they measure it door to door, and maybe it's the shortest path you could drive, and, you know, so there's a lot of back and forth about how it should be measured. So this just clearly says this is how you measure it.
And what is the history of when were tattoo parlors and body piercing made to have 1,000-foot radius, and when were ABC package stores not included in that?
well, the ABC package stores were never included, and I think they were depending on the state to help police that. We had a case where someone came in to put a store in, and we got calls on it, called the state, and they stated, well, we measured from here, and that's exactly what Julie stated, was we do this, we go from door to door with a reasonable walking path or driving path. And so after that one was approved, we had discussions about it, and we took it to Planning Commission at the next meeting. I think in the course of that time, Tripp had suggested that we do refine the definition so we're measuring everything the same way.
So it's always,
Since 2003.
since 2000, Julie
That's what I said.
mentioned she thought it was
I think it
around
probably
that time.
was done when the zoning ordinance was voted on in 2003.
Right.
And the state distance is 300 feet.
Uh-huh.
So this is more restricted than the state.
And we can be more restrictive, we can't be less restrictive.
So, just want to be clear, any existing businesses that are already in place, it will not affect them.
Right, correct.
And to be clear that we're not changing anything to tattoo parlors, body piercings. We're only adding to this ordinance the ABC package stores, is that correct?
We are clarifying the definition. So the definition is being clarified for all three. We're adding ABC package stores. And then there was one little error in the zoning matrix, so we're correcting.
Okay, so
But
this is
nothing's
for,
changing
this
for
is for
them.
future projects.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions for Karen? All right, we'll entertain any motions.
Motion to approve ordinance number 26-001.
Second. Got a motion by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Dean. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of ordinance number 26-001? Mr. Miller, you still with us? Yeah, 6 o'clock, so you may not. Well, that motion carries with a vote of 6-0. And I'm assuming it's unanimous, and Mr. Miller's no, he didn't just abstain.
I did fail to say that planning commission did recommend approval for by not no vote.
So,
Yes.
I think,
All right, under new business number 5, is to consider ordinance number 26-002, which amends the city's zoning map by rezoning approximately 2.37 acres of land located off an unnamed alley at 703A Cokesbury Street from R4 medium density residential to R10 high density residential.
Yeah, so this one came in, and the property adjacent to it, you can see just to the north of it is R10 already. It's owned by this, it has the same ownership. There's no direct access to Cokesbury from these two parcels, but they would be combined in, assuming, with the larger parcel that's there. So what you see there is what we refer to as Nonami. It's an unnamed street that doesn't exist. So that's the quote-unquote access, but there is no real access there. Their application was, thinking it would be more likely to be combined in with the property that could be developed, and that's between that property and the old villas, University Commons. which is up at the top of that. So they have a number, that you can see how much frontage they have on Cokesbury Street. They also have some frontage on some of the internal streets behind First Baptist Church. So there are plenty of points of access to the larger parcel that's already zoned R10. They were asking to have these two parcels zoned R10 as well, basically for consistency. And the concerns we got from the public were that it may create more traffic on the road. It may influence things that could happen in Henrietta Heights, and a couple of other residents were over there where they're concerned about it. You can see the future land use map from the comprehensive plan showed medium density residential. I believe this is the revised one. They did change the larger portion above it to high density residential because it was already zoned R10. So when we updated the maps recently, this is one of the places that it got actually bumped up a little bit. So in this case, these two parcels actually stayed in the medium density classifications. Now, I think Planning Commission recommended denial of this one, as did staff, based on future land use maps.
So planning commission denied this unanimously 0-9. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion, orders number 26-002, amending the city of Greenwood official zoning map, orders number 04 through 020 by rezoning approximately plus 2.37 acres of land located on the unnamed alley of 703A Cokesbury Street from R4 residential medium density to R10 residential high density. Motion to approve and deny. To deny.
Second.
Motion by Reverend Edwards, second by Ms. Hutto. All in favor of the motion to deny? That carries 5-0.
Chief's getting. The new business item number 6 is consider ordinance number 26-003, amending the city's zoning map by rezoning approximately 0.77 acres of land located at 1201 East Cambridge Avenue from R4 medium density residential to GC general commercial. This is the parcel here. I don't know what Carol will cover this one.
The history of this is it was created, these parcels were created when East End Heights was created back in 1957 and recorded in 1958. At the same time, in 1957, they recorded covenants and restrictions associated with the development that limited it to all single-family residential use. I think about 2 months later, and I've got copies of them here. About 2 months later, the original developer went back and recorded a new set of covenants and restrictions that removed lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, which that's actually 1, 2, 3, and half of 4. The other half of 4 was combined in with the property just to the north of it. And remove those from the restrictions for single family to allow for commercial development, and mention things like a grocery store or a shopping center. So these were not included in the covenants and restrictions from that day forward. They had one couple had purchased a lot at that point, and they signed off on the recording of the covenants and restrictions as well, the new ones. It appears to me, from what I've been able to find out, is that a lot of the residents didn't get the revised copy of those covenants and restrictions. They had the original copy. and it may have been an oversight, but it wasn't that hard for me to find because I went back through and basically did some deed research and was able to track it down. The request came when an applicant from Columbia area, I think Lexington, West Columbia maybe, made an application. They're looking at purchasing the property, and they wanted basically a clear ability to develop this or keep it as it is, as commercial, but refine the property and add it to their quote-unquote portfolio to bring in a commercial business there. So it's been commercial my entire life. Not saying that I go back to 1958, but it's always been a commercial use since it's been there. There's been a mix of commercial uses. Any benefit to changing it would mean that if they do come in and new businesses come in, we could get increases to buffers, landscaping, parking, because a lot of those things don't really exist now. There's some good landscaping on the front, but we did have concerns about the fact that it's surrounded by residential. But when you look back and read the language, if you want to go forward to the future land use map, this kind of surprised me, but it goes back to the original future land use maps in the oldest comprehensive plan we've got. So you can see across the street is residential. You can see up on the top left photo, the building on the front that's been stuccoed and improved over the years. And then the back is a series of bays, and there are different things that have been back there. I know for a fact one of them was a guy that was doing auto detailing and other body work. He has since moved because he knew a new owner was coming in. But there's been a mix of uses in that back section. Uses in the front have been offices. There was a Marita bread store there for a period of time. The most recent thing was a home health care, I believe, but there's been a mix of uses on the frontage as well. So if you go, okay, this is our future land use map, one of the old, from our comprehensive plan that's tied into our GIS. You can see that parcel has a future land use of commercial. And that goes back to the original future land use map. So the early childhood center, which was East End School, is a public use. Everything else is residential. That parcel alone is stand out as commercial in that section. If you go, there's another future land use map in there. This is the deed book. If you show where the arrow is, you can't really read it, but this is the deed book where they actually changed it. I think the original deed book was deed book 128, page, I've got them in here, but I'll make sure you get copies of those if this moves forward. This is the actual language, whereas it was the intention of the said Mr. Coleman, no relation to myself, to exclude and accept from the said covenants, restrictions, and covenants lots 1 through 4, inclusive of the said subdivision, so that lots 1 through 4 could be used for a shopping center or other commercial purposes, but through mistake or inadvertence, the said lots 1 through 4 were made subject to the said covenants and conditions along with the other lots. So that's when they pulled it out. They did record this as well, so it's that's a civil matter, but.
So, I mean, there's public notice that exists.
Yes. And I did talk to a gentleman who's an attorney, and I sent him copies of it, and he said, you did research this? And I said, well, once it came up that the restrictions were there, I just kept looking because I thought, this is odd that this is commercial and the future land use shows it's commercial. How did this happen? I didn't think it was an oversight. And that's when I kind of stumbled on by looking at different lots. I found a different deed reference for one of the lots that was sold after that.
Are you referencing a future land use map from a comprehensive plan before the 20?
No. The comprehensive plans all came after that.
Right, but I mean, a future land use map that was in existence before the current future land use map.
I've gone back through all of our future land use maps, and all of them consistently show this as commercial.
Until now?
No, it's commercial now.
It's commercial now?
Yes.
Well, in
Yes.
the one we just did?
Yes.
Okay.
There was, I think, some discussion about approaching the applicant about neighborhood commercial. Has that been done? Did I miss that?
I've put it out on the table. I don't have an answer yet. This is first reading, so they will be here for a public hearing. So I think they'd probably respond to that at that time and maybe give me some information before the date. I know they were trying to preserve their ability to do a number of uses and make it more marketable. But their statement is, and I'm not trying to speak for them, is that they own a quote-unquote portfolio of commercial properties and manage them and make improvements to the buildings to meet their minimum standards, and they intend to have tenants in there.
I mean, I think, I speak for council and say, any commercial building, we love to see people invest and maintain those buildings. But if, I guess I'm a little torn whether we vote on this, and then between first reading and second reading, if they were to change and seek a neighborhood commercial usage, do we have to send that back to planning?
No, because if they're okay with neighborhood commercial, that'll be a less intense request. So that can go forward. Now, if you did want to remand it to planning commission and have them go back through a public hearing, we can obviously do that, but it would not be a requirement.
For
For neighborhood commercial.
Okay.
Now, given the last ordinance we just passed, you couldn't put a tattoo parlor,
No.
a liquor store, or what was the other one? Piercing place.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know if you remember, but we actually asked for that ordinance to come before this ordinance.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
I remember. So in essence, that could not happen here.
No.
And I'm assuming they didn't have any plans for that, but I don't want to assume
Well,
either.
you can't assume, because you never know.
Right.
I did find a potential error in the matrix in researching this for today, so I'll take that up with Julie in the future, but.
What I just provided you guys, and I apologize, I meant to put that in your packet. This agenda got so long, I missed it, but, these are the uses, what I printed was the uses that allow general commercial, neighborhood commercial, and office professional, just so you can see the difference in the uses based on the zoning.
We also have neighborhood services, which is,
I didn't print, I said,
Yeah.
that, nobody ever asked for that.
So have this been a public hearing on this? Have people came in and spoke about, when will that take place?
At planning commission.
they did have one at planning commission, and we did have a few people from the community there.
So I've had people come to me and calling me about, they're not in favor of commercial coming there changing the identity of being a neighborhood as it been for all these years. I mean, people really, some people didn't even notice what's going on, Carol.
Well, the signs were posted, we did send out letters, and we did advertise it.
I'm not
So-
saying you did, I'm just saying, some just, I'm just repeating
Yeah.
what my constituents share with me.
But I guess, and I saw the sign, and I know there have been some people that are interested, but am I wrong? It's not, I mean, it's been the commercial for 67 years?
It has, so, like I said, 1957, they created the subdivision. 1958, they recorded covenants and restrictions. Subsequent to that, they re-recorded covenants and restrictions, removing these 4 lots, which it ended up being 3.5, for commercial uses. So that's in their covenants and restrictions, so that it's always been commercial.
Whether it was conforming or not, it has never been residential.
No.
It's always been commercial?
That building was built in 1958.
Okay.
And I guess what, Carol, their concerns were, I would see, if it'll be a commercial like, a grocery store would pop up there, or a shopping center, a small plaza, that they don't want that. They've been fine with what has been, reserved, sort of, kind of like, not so taking them to look away from the neighborhood and attracts a lot of traffic there.
I understand.
Is there anything we can do to restrict it to the use it's had during the last 67 years?
I don't know that we could do that unless they were willing to record additional covenants unto themselves to limit what they can do. I'm not sure. I've done some research. I don't know that I can tell you everything that's ever been there.
I mean, what I would say is if it changes use, right, then it's gonna trigger the new zoning. So, if the use stays like it is now, there's no issue. If it were to change, then a new CO has to be issued and it has to be in line with the R4 zoning, which is what exists now. If you change the zoning, then obviously that opens up to whatever use will be allowed in that particular district. Right now, if that building were to become vacant, or if the use were to change, then it would trigger a new CO, which would then trigger the zoning requirements of the way it's zoned now, which is R4.
I mean, I guess I am curious about the applicant's appetite for neighborhood commercial. And I think maybe it'd be premature for us to vote on it now, because neighborhood commercial, in essence, would restrict, and would restrict what could be there and keep it, potentially to the uses that it's been used for the last 67 years. So, I don't know, I don't know whether it's worth voting on it in first reading and then they change it to neighborhood commercial. I certainly, I know you've probably been talking to constituents and, yeah, I mean, I know this isn't a public hearing, but I don't want to just necessarily prove it and then we change it to neighborhood commercial. I mean, I do think neighborhood commercial, this is just me, it looks like neighborhood commercial is a more appropriate use for the space, and that's not what the applicants asked for.
Well, I'm just looking at in there, you could have, in the general commercial, I know that the neighbors in that area do not want a bar, lounge, nightclub. Does that follow that 1,000-foot parameter? No, it doesn't. So you can have a convenience store in general commercial. You can have a
convenience store in neighborhood commercial.
And you can have a convenience store in neighborhood commercial too.
And that's the error that I brought up. So it says you can have a convenience store with gas in neighborhood commercial. And I thought that was interesting that was allowed. I thought that should be more of a general commercial.
I don't see that.
Higher gas generator, higher traffic generator.
Does that say that in the text? Is that in the text? Because the matrix is only a guide to text is what guides the,
I don't see convenience store.
I don't see convenience store or grocery store or gas.
In general commercial. In neighborhood commercial.
Hold on.
But again, this is a matrix, this is not.
Yeah, this is in the matrix.
No, this is
the language from the ordinance.
This is the actual text.
Zoning reg.
Additional permitted uses in neighborhood commercial. Where is it?
The closest thing is a bakery, retail candy store, but that's
in general commercial.
well, that's a neighborhood commercial.
But my point was, I think we need to update the matrix anyway, because people look at this.
I just don't think this is really going for both of us.
Yeah.
I don't think this is really even considered voting on it yet for first reading.
So if it's not, I guess our options are to table it or send it back to planning commission for review for neighborhood commercial. I know Carol's saying that's not, you don't technically have to do that, but I think, at least I would feel better doing that and knowing the applicant's wishes. I'm not trying to delay anything here, but.
And if you do send it back, we can treat it as a new one and we can send out notices again and advertise it again for January.
Okay. That would be great, Carol.
So do we need a motion to send it back to the planning commission?
Yes.
It's an additional conditional use in neighborhood commercial.
Yeah.
Thing with gas, the convenience with gas.
Okay. What is that, 3.3?
3.3.2.1. So
Right, I didn't print the whole portion of neighborhood commercial. because
Well,
you
that's
wouldn't have-
additional uses. You were talking about additional conditional uses.
I was talking about additional
Conditional uses.
Which is 3.3.2.2.
Correct.
Okay.
But if they do meet the conditions, then they can go there.
which again, so that we can review everything, I think it probably does make sense to send it back. Was somebody prepared to make a motion?
I was. You ready for it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I make a motion that we send, ordinance number 26-003, amending the city Greenwood official zoning map ordinance back to planning meeting. Land located at 1201 Cambridge Avenue, east of R4 residential meetings to general commercial.
And I guess just to, is that for them to review for neighborhood commercial?
Or office professional, either one.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it,
And then we start all over again, Colonel, with this going back to planning meeting.
is it one or both?
I think it's just to go back to planning commission.
Right.
For consideration of other zoning options.
Mhm.
I don't think it has to be that
And
specific.
so I don't want to put any words in Reverend Everett's mouth. Is that what you were saying?
Yes,
Okay.
You're wanting it,
Is there a second?
just go back to planning meeting for
you're
first
wanting it to
start
go
all
back to
over
planning
again.
commission for reconsideration of a
Right.
different zoning.
Mhm.
Can you just state the motion like that for me?
I make a motion
Give me a
that we
second.
send ordinance number 26-003 back to planning committee for rezoning, the consideration for rezoning.
I think the minutes have it pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
They want she wants planning commission to reconsider lesser zoning than general district.
Right.
A motion by Reverend Everett,
Second.
Got it.
second by Ms. Hodo. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion, okay. All right, that motion carries by vote of 6-0.
It's a lot of work for a 7 acre piece of property.
New business, item number 7 is consider ordinance number 26-004, amended the city zoning map by rezoning approximately 15.56 acres of land located at 1423 bypass 25 southeast from general commercial to master plan residential. So this one is a
This one's
request by
it.
Heater Design to rezone this land. The intent is to develop 56 lot, I believe, patio home subdivision. Planning Commission is recommending approval with a 9-0 vote. My opinion here is that we're lacking information that we need from the NPR ordinance. I talked to Carol about it. The NPR portion of our zoning ordinance, is very specific about things that need to be required. I don't think we have them yet. We can still discuss this item and see how you guys want to proceed, but I think we need more from the applicant, including like the landscape plan, a site plan. We don't have any of those things at this time.
Well, there's a site plan.
I haven't seen this.
Oh.
Let me make sure I understand. Carol, have you received any of that stuff, and are we prepared to discuss that tonight?
We don't have the parameters of the buffer, no.
I just know we've been having, and I know that NPR zoning is relatively new. I'm just saying, as a city manager, I think some of these NPR zonings have created some challenges for staff from an enforcement standpoint. When I think about 7 Oaks was the first one we did, I don't think we did a very good job of enumerating specifically in the ordinance exactly how things are supposed to go, which makes it a little bit more challenging then for staff to enforce those specific pieces of the zoning ordinance. Because the NPR is like a PDD, right? And you're zoning it very specifically to this parcel, and you're asking that developer to follow a very specific plan that they have presented to you. In my reading of it, I didn't feel it was complete. Carol may disagree, but I know as much conversation as we've had about trees and buffers, I would have liked a little more information, specifically with a landscape plan.
Well, we did, just on the history, when it came in, it was kind of a hodgepodge. It came in with a request that referenced the county zoning ordinance for a city rezoning, so we had to clarify that. Then they amended it to R15, and we said absolutely not, but I don't think they really had a strong idea. I mean, what they amended it to didn't reflect what their site plan then showed. So we suggested, because there is, the site plan that it was included with it has so much open space in it, we suggested that if they went back to the drawing board and they came back to Planning Commission with another, came back with another plan, that if they added to that plan, they could probably qualify for an NPR. So they came back with a playground, I think a dog park, walking trails, but they didn't give us a defined planting plan. So.
I have seen this. I just feel like in previous NPRs, we've had more specific site plans than this. This is very conceptual. I just feel like we've got a little bit more to me.
I do agree with you that, and I'm not saying we made any mistakes with Seven Oaks, but I think you can certainly learn some lessons. I do think you probably do need some more details. If we are requesting that before we move forward, I'll ask again, is that something we need to send back before planning commission?
I do not think so.
I think it's something that you want to table until we receive the information.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it's not gonna sell unless it has really good buffers. It's not gonna sell unless it has really good buffers for where it's located.
And I think this parcel, I think has already been cleared. I think it's
It is cleared, yes.
So I think in this particular one, and I think all these NPRs are really, they're special, they're all different, which is why you choose this zoning. And so when you have a lot that's been already cleared, I think the buffers become even more important.
Not all of it's cleared, I don't think.
I was trying to visualize.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
At least by the road, it's
Well,
pretty clear.
going down where it starts going downhill, where the slope starts, there's some, and I don't know that that's what was there before or if that's just volunteer growth that's come back, but.
All I know is when I drove by, it's in an odd space. It doesn't look like 15, it doesn't look as big as 15 acres to me, but that's just seeing it from the road, because you kind of have to go. You're on a road that the traffic moves pretty rapidly on it, and so, I don't know.
What is the property the homes that were made less than $200,000?
Yes.
Wasn't that the property?
Or in the two, that range, not higher than that, which everybody else is saying.
I definitely think that this, we need additional information, but at that price point for this specific product, I'm not a real estate agent, professional, but I will say that this is a critical market that is missing in Greenwood that people need to try to find in that price range for homes they can be proud of. And so I think that certainly worth us revisiting with the additional information to make sure it fits the character for that side of Greenwood.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a work session, but I think it's worthwhile, as Julie mentioned, discussing the other aspects of it. I mean, it's 2 lanes coming off of there, or is it 4 lanes?
This,
It's 4.
it's 4, yeah.
It's 4, but it merges down to 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
right.
just can't remember where.
And
Right in front of that.
they do have access where they're showing it and access to the road where you go into Gleams also.
It's more than it merges to two.
And just below it is the 96 interchange.
It would connect into the Gleams property?
Well, they have an access out to that point. They have permission for that. I don't know, it may have to be pushed up a little bit. DOT was looking at that for me, but I don't think that's their road. But I would like to see how far they need to be off of that interchange in order to be there.
This on the right side, I don't know if that's the east side or not, but on the right side, that the little L shape down there at the bottom just kind of seems a little bit odd for me, but I'm not a developer. If those weren't there and you stretched out a little bit, wouldn't that fit into the density a lot better for that general area already? I'm not trying to be a designer, but
It drops off really.
it drops off a lot there, does it?
If I'm looking at the right place that you're describing.
Well,
Anywhere near that pond drops off.
It's a funky piece of property.
just so that we make sure we dot our i's and cross our t's, I mean, I would propose and certainly be open to any motion that we, as Mr. Bass said, this is a price point that we need in Greenwood, but just so that we're crystal clear as to exactly, because it is NPR, what's going in there may make sense, but we'll entertain any motion.
The reason being with the NPR has to be specific, because when we talked about, when we had a fence, we talked about a fence, I'm going to talk about 7 Oaks now. And it took us forever to get the fence that they agreed to up. Am I correct in that assumption? So basically, in order for city staff to implement those and enforce what, it has to be very specific. That's what you're telling us. The NPR has to be very specific in order
I
for
think
us
if
to
you're gonna
enforce.
if you're gonna tell a developer, okay, yes, we're gonna approve your NPR, but you gotta know, first of all, what you're approving and then what your buts are, meaning what are the additional things that you would require of that developer. For example, I believe they say 20-foot buffers. I don't remember if it specifically calls out what the buffers will be.
It does not.
And so I think those are the types of things that you would want to know. Is it gonna be a tree buffer? Is it gonna be a berm? Is it gonna be plantings? Otherwise, you might as well just approve whatever the density is and just be done with it.
You're right.
Do we have a council meeting on February 2016, President's Day, or are we not having that day?
It'd be
So
the
it's the
4th.
23rd?
Yes.
I'll be happy to make a motion. I make a motion that we table this until our council meeting on February 23rd to allow for the postpone. I'll make a motion that we postpone this request until February 23rd to allow for planning staff and city administration to be able to collect the remaining information and to make sure that this NPR has cleared up.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Bass, second by Ms. Hutto. Any further discussion about the motion? All in favor of the motion? That motion carries unanimously with 6 votes.
Did y'all say February?
Yes.
Yes.
New business item number 8 is to consider ordinance number 26-005 approving a loan to the Greenwood Community Theater. We've discussed this a lot, so I'm gonna hit the highlights. The loan amount being requested is $371,178, which includes a 20% contingency. The term is that it will be repaid by December 31st, 2029. I mentioned that CPST, Josh Skinner projects that this money will actually be available in December of 2028, but that's a very fluid, it's an educated guess on when that money will be available, so we wanted to give a little cushion in the repayment term. The interest rate will be 3%. As Mr. Gilbert spoke in the last meeting, his preference will be to repay that annually. The collateral is the building itself, which is 110 Main Street, and the money market account that the theater has. The loan is non-forgivable, and the items to be completed are enumerated in the addendum and include structural items, the roofing, repointing of the brick, and the courtyard door.
So, I'm not opposed to this, but I just want to make sure with the interest rate, we are not losing any money on what we would have made had we not loaned it out. And if we are conceivably, and I know interest rates are unpredictable, if we conceivably are, I want to be able to recognize what that is so it can be identified. Does that make sense?
If you go by current interest rates, then yes, we would lose a slight amount of money. But I know the feds will be dropping interest rates again. So by the time we actually sign the documents, we could be below that.
Is there any way we could tie the interest rate to that?
You may make it a variable?
Yeah, variable.
I think I would feel more comfortable with that, but variable not to exceed.
Right, we're not a lender, we're not trying to make money off of it. Or maybe we are.
I mean, you take the chance, if you make a variable loan, you take the chance either way. The interest rates tank to 0.0% or they go up to 9%, like, you know.
Well, that's what I mean is.
Yeah.
We're not, unless this is something, as Jonathan mentioned earlier, we're concerned this is a slippery slope and we want to you know, we want to prevent, or we want to just make sure this isn't something that everyone asks for, that we somehow tie it to the, to the market, rate. Just a thought.
We vetted this rate internally a good bit, Tripp and Sarah and I. There was a lot of back and forth about it. We landed on the 3% because it's such a short term, the variability of the rate, and the fact that we already have sort of this standard where we do this two below prime, no less than 3%. So, Tripp, you don't have anything you want to add to that?
Usually with a variable rate too, you have a reset period, and it can be whatever reset you want. It could be as difficult as daily. That would be a calculating nightmare for Sarah.
Yeah,
so if you reset every year, you're not really addressing the problem that you are talking about. So because of the short term, a variable might not address what you're really trying to address.
I'm just thinking as a way to account for any potential loss that we would have. And I just don't want to, again, I am not opposed to it. I'd love to help them if we could. If somehow at the end of this we are going to lose some money, I want to know what that is so we can recognize that. Of course, we won't know that for several years.
I think there's just no way to really predict what that may be.
We can't predict that now. I'm just saying at the end of it, we should be able to calculate that.
I mean, if you go by, I don't want to say historical data, but as you see the trends are coming down. Russian roulette, however you want to play it. Right now, we may lose on this end, but by the time the end of the loan comes, we've actually gained because interest rates have dropped to 1%. I mean, if you have a recession again, like we had in 2008, then we'll make money. But again, it goes back to there's no guarantee in the market either way.
Just a thought. I just wanted to put it out there in an effort to be fiscally responsible. Well, unless anyone has any proposals to change these terms, we'll entertain a motion for this ordinance as written.
I make a motion that we approve the loan, ordinance number 26-005, approving the loan to the Greenwood Community Inn with the conditions of paying it back. Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Edwards, second by Ms. Hutto. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, that motion carries by a vote of 5-1.
Under new business, item number 9 is to consider resolution number 25-010, updating the contract with the law firm of Cohen Padgett for our city attorney and prosecutor duties. We haven't updated this agreement since 2010, I believe it was. 2017? Okay, yeah, in 2017, we updated this agreement because the law firm was doing some work for us under the Neighborhood Improvement Program. I don't know if y'all remember that program where we got a large loan, large grant to demolish some dilapidated housing. It required a lot of real estate transactions. So this update to this attorney agreement really removes all of those requirements that don't need to be in there anymore. The only other things that changed is that since the last agreement, we have adjusted this pay for the city attorney. So the rate of pay changes from Currently $5,512 a month to $5,678 a month. And then the hourly rate has increased as well, just as time has passed. It's really rare that Tripp performs any hourly work for us outside of his contract. Typically, everything that he does for the city is covered by his contract. If he has to do something outside of that, he will let me know ahead of time, hey, this is outside the duties of my contract. Remember, this is at our hourly rate. So again, it doesn't happen very often. And so I would ask that you would approve this new contract with the city attorney. And just for clarity for the record, the prosecutor duties are that Tripp prosecutes all of our cases in municipal court. So he comes to city court when if we need jury trials. He negotiates plea deals for all cases tried in city court. And then he also does what he's doing this evening and all the other things that I need from him. He loves getting emails from me.
Motion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
Motion to approve resolution 25-010, updating the contract with law firm of Pico and Paget, LLC for city attorney and city prosecutor duties.
A motion by Ms. Soto, second by Mr. Dean. Any further discussion? All in favor of the resolution number 25-010? Motion carries unanimously with 6 votes, and we appreciate the work that you do.
He's very beneficial to me. Some weeks I need him a lot, some weeks I don't have to bother him at all, but he's always very responsive. So I'm very appreciative to the services that he provides the city.
There he is.
Again, all of the ones highlighted here include food. Tomorrow, we have the fire department's Christmas dinner at 6 o'clock at Station 1. Station 1? No, Main Street, across from South Main. Baptist Church. Yeah, the main station. On the 17th at noon, we have our administrative and city council Christmas lunch here in the council chambers. The 18th, we have our court breakfast and our public works Christmas lunch at the Arts Center. And please note that their lunch is at 11 o'clock because they work 6:30 to 3, so they take an early lunch. So we're having brunch. I said to Eric, we're having brunch. He said, no, that's our lunch. And then we have obviously a lot of other Christmas events coming up. We are closed on the 25th and the 26th for the Christmas holidays. So year-end stuff galore.
Thank you. I want to make clear that these meals are some of my favorites, but I'm going to be out of town the next few days, so please pass along my apologies for having to miss. So it's good food.
The chief and his staff have been working on ward meetings for each of your wards. These are the dates that they are proposing. I believe Corona's probably been the one kind of facilitating, reaching out to all of these churches and other locations to try to secure dates and times and locations. So if at all possible, we would ask that we not have to change these. However, we understand if you have a conflict. So if you could just take a look, let me know. If you have a conflict, maybe another council member can swap with you, possibly. So just take a look at those and let us know if you have heartburn about any of those.
I would love to be available for, obviously these are for each ward, and I represent every ward. We have Leadership South Carolina in town January 22nd. I won't be able to make that one, although I'd love to. That would be the only one that I would potentially request, but I'll leave that up to Ward 1.
Okay. You don't have to tell us tonight, but if you just have to take a little time to look at it and let the chief and I know if these don't work with your calendar, and we'll do our best to reschedule them if we can. Okay.
All right. Anything to report from Ward 1?
No, not right, not tonight.
Mr. Dean, anything from Ward 2? Reverend Edwards, Ward 3?
Yes. I want to kind of thank you folks for taking the police on a chase and breaking my change in my church parking lot. And I had to come out in the cold Saturday night, go down there.
Somebody was running from the police and they broke the chain, is that what you
They
said?
turned into my church parking lot thinking that was Coastville Road they was turning. And the chain that's there to the end was, the wood and all was thrown up pieces.
You know, we may have saved somebody's life.
I was gonna say,
Right.
it
may have saved someone's life.
I like
I
that.
know it took them a free trip to the jailhouse.
They will be paying to have it fixed.
Oh, great,
Good.
great. But,
There's
no,
always something eventful going on.
in Ward 3 it is, it's never a dead moment. But no, most of everything is great in Ward 3. I was able to identify some guys working on a house without a permit. And took the whole identity of one of the houses, so we're working on trying to get that straightened out from there, and that's it.
Thank you. About Ward 4.
All well, thank you.
All right, everything's always good in Ward 5, but Ward 6, my ward, Mr. Eccles, anything?
Good.
Good.
Keeping them busy, it looks like.
Well, we had a fantastic Christmas parade last weekend. I think everything went off well. Weather cooperated, it was chilly, but I think we all had a good time celebrating and wish staff and the residents of Greenwood a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks for everything that y'all do to put that Christmas parade on and everything you do daily to be the face of Greenwood. So anyway, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
A motion by Mr. Dean, second by Reverend Edwards. Any further discussion? All in favor of adjournment? Motion carries unanimously.